friends to a podcast that's been described as
emotional
and
terrifying.
One guy even said it was
So awesome it will shock you to the core.
finally another podcast about
Godzilla!
and all his giant monster friends.
This could be the end of civilization.
Yeah, probably. So join your hosts, KES and Slick.
Ladies and gentlemen,
You're listening to the podcast from Toho Island. Welcome to the podcast from Toho Island. Follow us on Twitter at Toho Island Pod. I'm really not this happy. Kes. And with me, as always, is a man who thinks that the Resident Evil 4 on the Wii is the best version.
Well, I took that personally. Also, it totally is the best version.
Slick, you liar.
I don't think I'm alone in that camp either. I think, I remember the Wii version being like very well received when it was out, and a lot of people saying, "Yeah, this could be the preferred way to play this game."
The Amico is the best version.
Of course, yes. I hear there's one play testing unit floating around a bunch of like YouTuber bums right now. So one day we'll start a Patreon. It's going to be nothing but like Amico episodes.
So yeah, we're back at you this week with a heck of an episode, heck of a topic.
It's our Halloween episode.
It is our Halloween episode.
Spooky Halloween episode.
Our Spooky Mulder episode. We are covering Bride of Frankenstein.
Yes, the prequel to Frankenstein Conquers the World and War of the Gargantuas. Yep,
it is the prequel to that, technically. But before we get into the topic, any news tidbits you want to lay on me?
I think we could probably discuss the big Godzilla Evangelion pachinko machine footage that made the rounds.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty sweet. I'm gonna get the one negative thing I'm gonna say out of the way, and it's not even about like the video itself. Like a lot of people, and I understand, a lot of people online were reacting, going like, why is it 90s Ghidorah? Why is it not the Shin Ghidorah from Godzilla Evangelion ride? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, that, yes, fair complaint, but also let's keep in perspective. This is a pachinko machine video. Like, I don't think they cared too much, but, it just reminds me how, like, I think they were pachinko machines. I don't remember exactly what they were, but they were some sort of similar type game back in, like, the early 2000s came out. I think I showed you these, or I think I sent you these before. It's like, it's the Godzilla 2000 suit fighting, like, Final Wars Anguirus, Final Wars Gigan, GMK Ghidorah. It's just like, they're just kind of working with what they got around them. It's
well, I thought Ghidorah looked pretty good.
Yeah, I thought he looked great too. Yes, I do. I also wish it was the Shin King Ghidorah design, but I'm not that not perturbed by it. But I thought it looked pretty sweet. Yeah,
I was like, for a pachinko machine, this is pretty rad.
Yeah, I mean the CGI on like the part where Shin Godzilla is, and I don't know Evangelion all that well, so I think it's Eva 1. I think is like when he fires his beam into like Eva 1, and which like morphs him into like the wild Godzilla Eva hybrid that they like made as like a premium figure years ago. That's so random, but like when I was looking at that, I was like, the CGI for that, I was like, that's pretty sweet. So yeah, I thought that looked cool.
I did see that there is another Godzilla ride coming to Japan.
Oh yeah, I saw that 4th.
Too. Looked like it was Rodan, Ghidorah, Godzilla. Is there anyone else on the poster for that?
I don't think so. I was like wondering if it was like a sequel to the ride, or is it like the ride coming to like another location?
Oh, all right.
But I didn't know. It sounds like the title of it was different.
Yeah, because it made it sound like it was a new ride.
Yeah.
That's how I interpreted it.
Yeah. So, yep, the Godzilla ride universe and pachinko game universe really taking off.
We also have on November 3rd, we've got those two shorts. It looks like we've got the fan made CGI one, and then there's a suit one
Yes.
coming out. That
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm kind of more interested in that.
I'm looking forward to both. I mean, that's going to be our entire next episode is pretty much going to be covering Godzilla Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember, I think we talked about it here, like earlier in the year, that like there was like a crowdfunding campaign for that Gigan suit that's actually being used in that short.
Mhm.
So that'll be cool to see how that came out. There was like that one promo image that was released. Did you see that?
I saw the promo image, yeah.
Yeah, of Godzilla and Gigan squaring off in the city.
Indeed.
Yeah, that looked sick. I'm all about that.
I'm kind of more interested in that just because I feel like the Hero one we got last year was like 3 minutes long, 2-3 minutes long, and it just hit that nice little sweet spot of like, okay, if you give me this once a year, perfect.
Looks like that's what you're gonna get.
Oh, great one.
That looks like what we're getting. I wonder how long that Final Wars stunt suit is gonna hold up for. But that's gonna become like the new like how like they use like the Godzilla versus the Thing / the Monster Zero suit for like everything in like the 60s or the 70s,
So that's the new version.
including Ultraman. It'd just be awesome if it just becomes that.
They should make a Ghidorah suit that looks like how the Ghidorah suit in Gigan was falling apart.
Yeah, God,
It
yeah.
looked like Andre the Giant towards the end.
Yeah. I mean, he even had like the sideburns. The mane turned into like the WrestleMania 6 Andre sideburns.
So we shouldn't call them cyborgs. They were mutton chops.
Yes, they were mutton chops. But yeah, that's cool. You know, I do feel like now that there's enough like alternate universe Shin Godzilla content to be like, okay, like you use Shin Godzilla in all these like random ad campaigns and these like ride attractions and game attractions, and I like that there's like a whole just different Shin Godzilla out there that like I said like on Twitter, it was like this is like 60s Showa Godzilla just looking like the hellacious zombie thing that Shin Godzilla is, and I think it's like the funniest thing.
I was thinking about this is so random, but I was thinking this week about like how cool the Godzilla designs have been the past like 10 years. You got Shin Godzilla, you get the legendary Godzilla, and you have Godzilla Earth, and you have Singular Point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all these Godzillas are so different, but they all just kick so much ass.
Yeah.
Like it's great. Like, I love
Yeah.
it.
Has there been any other random ones? We got the ride one. Oh, there's the Snow Godzilla that was in the
Godzilla
anime.
And the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, just no shortage of cool Godzilla designs. I like that we get like merchandise for like most of them too.
Yeah.
I like that. Keep giving me figures of these things. Trying to think, is there any others? No, okay. Yeah, no, I think that's keep giving me that merch.
Exactly.
That sweet, sweet merch.
But without any further ado, why don't we hop into Bride of Frankenstein?
Yes.
So before you set the table, how many times have you seen this movie?
Quite a few, I would say, over the years. I like Universal horror movie, or not gonna call them horror movies, the Universal monster movies. I've seen this one. This has always kind of been probably my favorite. I don't know. The original Dracula's actually
The original Dracula
tied.
is definitely my favorite.
Yeah, these two are tied. I
Okay.
know the original Dracula is not usually considered like people's favorite, but
Oh, I love it.
I think it's just so iconic.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, just like this, everything about this is so iconic.
Good. Yeah, I've seen it probably like 4 or 5 times now. Like,
Yeah.
never like close together either. It's always been like a 5-10 year gap between viewings. Like I remember seeing it when I was a little kid, and then again in high school, then like right after college,
Mhm.
and that might have been the last time I watched it. Actually, it was like probably like 15 years ago.
Oh, so it's been a while.
It's been
Oh.
a very long time for this one.
I tend to watch this movie and a few other Universal movies right around this time of year every year. So that's why I was thinking, I was like, oh, it's Halloween. Let's do a little sidetrack and do a little Universal movie.
I'm definitely down for this. So yeah, with that out of the way, why don't you set this little table for us?
Yeah, I'm not going to set too much of a table because I think there's probably just like a lot for us. Probably a lot of meat in the bones of this movie and its themes and how it's carried out. But from 1935, directed by James Whale, who also did the original Frankenstein, as well as the Invisible Man.
Yep.
So this was his return to this. I think one thing I'm gonna just do is like my little trivia for the setting the table part is that there were a number of scenes that had to be censored or cut because I think they were still living under the production codes in the 1930s, and stuff that got cut was there was a scene like Frankenstein, for example, like is in the he's in the graveyard and he's like running from the small mob, and he comes like to that tomb and there's like the big crucifix with Jesus on it. He tries to take Jesus off the crucifix because I think it was a little unclear. It's like, does he think that's a person who's actually nailed to a cross or not? But either way, he's trying to remove Jesus from the crucifix, and like that sort of religious imagery had to be cut.
Yeah, the first movie did that too.
Yeah, well, there's also in the first movie
He said something like sacrilegious.
yeah, he says like when Frankenstein says it's alive, he says something like in the clip has been found. I know what it's like to be God, or something to that effect, and that gets cut out. But that has been found. I don't know. Yeah. I was looking to see if I could find the clip, but I couldn't find it. But one that was not made due to censorship, just more wanting to have an upbeat ending. That originally Frankenstein and Elizabeth were supposed to die in the explosion. But instead it was changed to having,
just
yeah. And, but when and I actually didn't know this until I was like watching, like looking for clips and stuff like that online earlier, when the monster flips the switch and like you see the explosion, they did actually film Frankenstein dying in the castle, and you can they left a shot in of him against the wall when the explosion's coming down. He's like kind of like in the corner. And so there is like a little surviving shot of that original ending is still in the ending, but but you could also like kind of write off going like, oh, it's probably like Pretorius dying, because there's but it was actually Frankenstein dying. So that was my little table set. I mean, I think there's a lot of again, a lot of meat to this. It picks up where the last movie left off, which not a common movie thing to do, especially with horror movies, I feel like.
So like it picks up and like there are these two guys talking to Mary Shelley, and they're just like,
oh yes, it does start with this.
So it's almost like, oh, it's a shame the story ends. She's like, oh, that didn't end, it was just getting started. And then she immediately, it's like a 2-3 minute scene that leads into her retelling the story of Frankenstein, and I keep on doing it as a joke, and I worked myself into a shoot on this. Frankenstein and the monster picks up right where the last movie left off, where they're burning down the mill, and there's really annoying ladies yelling about it.
Yeah, so that's Una O'Connor, who plays Minnie, and I think she's kind of probably universally, I shouldn't say universally, but I think if a lot of people got to point to one thing they don't like about this movie, it's her. And
it's not that I don't like it. She's just annoying.
She was like I was like reading about her and stuff. Like she was like a famous, Irish actress, and she played like comedic roles, and like that was like her thing, and she was a big star. And I think she's just very out of place for this movie. Like like in the very beginning, when she's like kind of like over the top, going like, good riddance to him, burning in the fire, like all that shit. Like that's fine in the beginning. And then like when the monster gets out, climbs out of the wreckage, and like then he kind of like scares her off. I could kind of let that go, but she keeps that sort of shtick through like the entire movie, and it's so out of place for like the rest of the movie.
Well, he doesn't climb out of there; he's pulled out. And then he tosses the lady who pulled him out down.
Yes, he finished the job on that girl's family from the first movie.
So one of the things I like about this is that, since Frankenstein, the monster, I should say, was in the fire, like part of his hair is like burned off, and his like skin, like his hands burned and stuff. I was like, they put some work in on this.
Oh yeah, I mean the visuals in this movie are like
outstanding,
incredible. Like I mean, all the Universal movies from this time I feel like have great visuals, and this one's just like, I mean, it's great in this movie. Like and like the detail like on the monster, like. He's got like the battle damage on his arms and stuff like that. Yeah, his like hair is like a little singed. He doesn't look as like, I guess we'll say, clean as he looked in the first movie.
Yeah.
Like he looks a little worn out.
Yeah, so he's still alive, and as soon as the doctor is returned back to the castle, another doctor shows up, the Pretorius Big. I've been waiting on that one. And so he shows up and he's like, "Oh, I have urgent business with Dr. Frankenstein." So he comes in. He's just like, "All right, so yeah, I heard about your experiments. It's really awesome. Here are my experience." And he's just got these little people in jars.
Well, he was Frankenstein's mentor at the university they worked at together.
But like, it's so weird how he's like, "Oh, your experiment's really cool. Here's mine," and it's little people in jars. And I was like, "What the fuck? Why do you do this?"
Yeah. Well, he's trying to explain this. Like, he can grow artificial life, but he can't do a full-sized body.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Frankenstein could kind of make the body. I don't know. It's very weird. I do appreciate they don't spend a lot of time getting into the logic of it and just kind of go, "Yeah, listen, just trust me. I can just like build like artificial life. Don't fucking worry about it." Like, listen, we're gonna do a little grave robbing, and I'll make you an artificial brain, and we'll be good. Don't sweat it.
So I just liked how he just like his life's work was creating little tiny people. It reminds me of when Bart and Lisa are growing like the people in the geode.
Oh yeah, the sea monkeys, right? They were doing like kind of like the knockoff sea monkeys, right?
Well, it was like they worshipped Lisa, and like Lisa was the god, and then Bart was the devil.
Yes.
So I don't know if it was like sea people or if it was just like something happened with like people were starting to be created out of like bacteria that got into the geode.
Yeah, I don't know. He just says, "I used a seed." And I was like, don't know what that means. Sounds a little creepy. Let's leave it there. That's great. But
no egg.
But it's like this movie's kind of broken into segments, right? This is the Frankenstein part where he gets out, or the monster part where he gets out, because it's not Frankenstein, it's Frankenstein's monster.
Yep.
All right, so now we're at the Pretorius part. And like one thing that I thought is like great from a character standpoint in all this is that like it's like, Frankenstein's trying to get married to Elizabeth. And like, and he's, trying to leave this ship with like the monster behind him.
Yep.
And then Pretorius shows up, and he's like, very hesitant to like work with Pretorius, but as soon as he starts like basically saying like, "Hey, like my work and your work could work together," he like instantly starts slipping right back into that like like maybe we should do this. And like
as soon as I'm out, they put me back in.
But it's like and he does that again like later in the movie too. Like even like when like the monster is holding Elizabeth hostage,
he's like
she's locked
he's
up.
into it.
The second he starts working on it, it's like everything else goes away.
Yeah.
And he's just so fixated on that.
He's like, he even does like, "She's alive." Like,
yes. Yeah.
He's not as into it as the first movie where he goes like, he's like, he has to be like restrained basically.
Right.
But he's still like very much so like, it's not like a burden to him.
Right. But even like, and then even like a few scenes before that where he's like just trying to get the heart to beat, and like the first heart fails. And he's like, no, I need like another heart. I need another heart. And it's like, he's no longer like, he's not even like paying attention to like the situation that he's in. Like,
yeah.
It's like he went from the guy who's basically kidnapped to being held hostage because his wife's being held hostage to like, he's like, I'm in control of the situation now and I just need a heart. That's the only fucking thing that matters in my life right now.
Yeah.
And it's like that, like this movie does that shit so well.
Yeah.
It's like, you get plenty of the monster, but like watching Henry Frankenstein be like that is like extremely entertaining. And then of course like Pretorius is like one of the greatest cinematic characters of all time. He's
agree.
Just the best.
He reminded me a lot of Doctor Who from
King Kong Escapes.
King Kong Escapes, thank you. Yeah. Just like it's not so much like the character itself, but more of like his like the way he speaks and like his hair a little bit. Like he just has this like, it just reminded me of him where he's just like, I am the essence of pure evil in this movie.
Yeah. He's having picnics like in the crypt on the coffin.
Exactly. Exactly. Drink. Good.
Yeah. Yeah, we're bouncing around, but I guess like focusing on Pretorius. Also like 3 of the best lines in the movie: gin, my only weakness. Cigars, my only weakness. Then he does the toast, to a new world of gods and monsters. Yeah. And I was like, oh God, you're so good. Like this character is just, he just like, crushes every scene that he's in.
Yeah, agreed. Actually, pretty much like the guy who plays Henry Frankenstein, I forget his name, but also the assistants too are very like memorable.
Oh yeah. I forget oh, you mean the two murderer guys that Pretorius has?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It's the whole gang of goons is very good.
It's very satisfying when the monster wakes up. So basically, Pretorius like tranquilizes the monster when they're trying to make the bride, and when he wakes up, the first thing he does is like go to the top of the tower and throws one of those guys off of it, and you just hear him screaming and falling. Yeah. I was just like, oh man, you don't get enough of that.
Yeah, like when he tosses the murderer guy off at the end, I feel like it's kind of like random that it happens. But I was like, yeah, good. You need to kill that guy anyway. That guy was he was like the asshole of the movie. So like, you had to get that guy.
But there's another scene too where the monster's like trying to like just get along. Like he's not trying to hurt anybody. Like he can, but that's not his intention. His intention is just he's been given life, so he just wants to live, and that's sort of his tragedy, where like he's demonized for he murdered a kid for starters. But like hunters are like shooting at him. He gets shot. And then he finds like a kindly blind man playing violin.
Oh wait, we skipped the part where he gets tied to a log, almost like in a crucifix like position, and then like they prop him up and they start like whipping him like while he's like while he's crucified. I was like, well, that's some drastic imagery right there.
Yeah,
but we'll come back to that.
Sorry. Yeah, I skipped over that and went right to the kindly blind man, who should have been played by Burgess Meredith. Probably not old enough at that point.
Yeah, because Burgess Meredith is in those Twilight Zone episodes that are like 20 years later, and he's like probably like 30 or something. Probably his late 30s, 40s at that time.
But like the kindly blind man playing the violin like takes him in. He's like the only person to show him kindness, and so like the monster like learns. He's like learning good, bad. Like drink, good. Smoke, good. Fire, bad. Oh no, fire is good. And so he learns like not to be afraid of fire, basically. So that helps him kill the guy at the end who's trying to scare him with fire. And he's like, nope.
Yep.
Fire
good. God, the blind guy is like, it's like sad. Like
no,
when he gets like taken away from Frankenstein or the monster, and he's like my friend.
Yeah.
What are you doing to my friend?
So like he considers the monster his friend. Like not knowing his past or anything like that. He's just a nice guy, feeding him, like showing him, like speaking, like teaching him how to speak, playing violin for him because he likes that, and because he's just like a lonely guy. Like nobody's giving him any attention or love or anything like that. So like when he finally gets someone, he's like very clingy to the monster. And then these two other hunters come in looking for directions because they're lost. And they just fuck everything up.
Yeah.
like immediately they try to shoot the monster, and the guy's like, "No, he's my friend."
Yeah,
and
well,
so,
they were the ones that were looking for him earlier.
Or they shot him, and so they burned the guy's cabin to the ground by accident.
You know, that's like it's sad. Feel for that guy.
Yeah. So, there's a Frankenstein. The monster escapes, and all the people escape. So no one's hurt, but like. The guy's house burned down.
Yeah.
But like at this point, like the monster's acquired like speaking skills. So he's got like it's not a huge vocabulary, but it's enough to get him slapped, you know. That's a joke. So he basically from this point on is just like an alcoholic.
Yeah, it just wants to smoke cigars all the time.
He just wants to smoke and drink and party. So like I'm like, yeah, the monster's he's
getting down.
He's a upstanding citizen now. But Pretorius, like, he stumbles upon Pretorius in the crypt there, and Pretorius is sort of like teaching him how to like, okay, so we're gonna bring you back to Henry Frankenstein. We're gonna get you a companion. And he's like, man, friend. He's like, no, woman. He's like,
Also, that seems like the best where he's just like drinking wine, ripping cigars by himself at the time where he thinks he's by himself. And he's just like laughing to himself.
Yeah.
Well, he's just like in the picnic and he goes, oh, I like it down here. And I was like, God, you're so good. But like, yeah. So like some of the stuff you touch on, especially with like the priest guy, and like kind of like what I talked about like earlier with like the crucifix scene. There, like, so this movie was directed by, like, so James Whale, and he like what he intentionally did, but it seems like what people don't really know what his intentions were, was to put all this like Christian imagery throughout the movie, right? So it's like you got the part where Frankenstein's being kind of crucified and lashed, like when he first gets to the blind man's house. Remember there's like that fade out and everything fades out except for the crucifix that kind of glows.
Oh yeah.
And like that was like he asked for that, like to be, he had like the effects crew like do that. And then like what does he have with the blind guy before everything goes to shit? His last like meal with the blind guy is bread and wine, like Christ did. And then like when he meets Pretorius, he's having bread and wine. It's always like the breaking of the bread and all that, and like and then obviously like the censored scene that was there. And so like looking into it, like his friends like he was doing something intentionally, but he was like kind of quiet on like whether he was, now what the theories are is that either he wanted to paint the monster like a Christ-like figure, because again he's a character that rose from the dead and was then persecuted or has been persecuted and also rose from the dead, or was he like mocking Christianity just generally through this movie? And like nobody really, it doesn't sound like his friends didn't sound like they really knew what he was trying to get at, but he was trying to do one or the other, and he was just kind of like, well, y'all figure it out. That was my take of what I read. I thought that was interesting because he was not a religious person, no, by any means. It sounds like when he was live. So, and then there's a lot of articles, like really good articles that point out like he was an openly gay man, in a time where that was like not a thing, and what was interesting that his friends said like, no, like we don't think he was like that he was intentionally trying to put like any subtext like that in the movie. I think it just kind of naturally came out because that's like just him as a writer, creative mind. Like he's putting himself into the movie. Like it seems like he was really focused on more the Christian imagery and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty interesting because I do think he's probably actually trying to like do like a religious mocking. It seems like to me like it's like very over the top. Scenes and just I don't know. It's just like there's so many layers to the movie. I think it's all so well done, and it's just like that puts it above, I think, a lot of the other Universal monster movies from the time.
OG Easter eggs.
Yeah. But I mean, even like the bread and wine thing, like that's a little subtle. You know, like I mean, some of it's like on the nose, like when the crucifix is like the last thing to fade out. Yeah. But like, just like when he's like just giving him food, you're like, oh yeah, what do they do? They're breaking bread and drinking wine. This is Christ's Last Supper. Yeah. Like, that's a nice little subtle thing. They don't draw like a lot of attention to it. It just kind of happens.
And I've heard the same things about the director, how he was. It's never been proven or like nobody knows for sure, but that's what they've always said. That's like it's either like a parody of Christianity to like sort of like thumb his nose at it, or it was more or less like him just like lashing out and like just being like, oh, okay, I'll show you what's up. Like, like I'll put all this like Christian imagery in here, and it's like, but like I don't believe any of it. So, I don't know if that's like mocking or if it's more like, okay, I'll show you like how to do like an artsy movie.
Yeah, it's like I think it could certainly be taken like as being done in a mocking way, because it's like, and this is me just kind of just thinking aloud and kind of guessing. It's like, when I think like knowing the sort of I think it was like the Hays Code or whatever it was called back then, like that, like they had to make all those censorship changes under. Like, I would imagine he would know that like that scene where they tie the Frankenstein to the log, but he's kind of got his arms out, almost like a cross, and like or crucifix, and like they're lashing him and stuff. But like that seems like okay, we're not going to crucify you. We're going to do like the next closest thing, and we're going to have that imagery, knowing that like that's probably knowing you're pushing the limits.
Yeah, you see how far you can go.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like okay, I was able to get that in, like, and I think that's like a really impactful scene. I keep referencing that scene. I thought it was like just a really striking scene to like visually see.
Literally.
And how it's, whoa, hey.
You're play-by-play. I'm caller.
But like, and just again, like just the images like that, and like, Pretorius like says like a lot of like, when he's talking to Frankenstein, he's like, what does the Bible say if you're into it? Like, I think he literally like doesn't say if you're into it. I forget exactly how he puts it, but that's the tone. He goes like, he's like, go procreate and multiply.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, why don't we, isn't that the same thing that we're doing by like making him a bride? So and I was like, you push in what you can get in. And you're not talking about Christianity in any positive way, like when you're doing it. So like, so that's my take, or that's why I think it was like more like a mocking of probably the religious tone of the nation at the time.
Yeah. Good for you, James Whale. Cool guy. And so I guess let's get into the ending.
Yes.
So the ending is so bizarre, in my opinion, because like at this point, like Frankenstein's wife, the doctor's wife, Frankenstein. Yeah, I got it right that time. So his wife is kidnapped by the monster, and like Pretorius comes in like immediately, just like, oh yeah, she's safe, like she's not dead, but like we gotta make the bride, or not so much. And he's like, okay, fine. So he agrees, and he's like, I'll have you talk to her on this like magical machine.
Yeah, he says like, he's like, this electronic
device,
wire device. It says something really weird.
Yeah.
I was like,
so it's basically like a 1935 cell phone, but it's in like a box. It's awesome.
Yeah, but this takes place like in the early 1900s. It takes place in Mary Shelley's time. So
it's the 1800s.
So it'd be the 18.
I should know this.
Well, Mary Shelley, they did a play production of Frankenstein that Mary Shelley saw in the 1890s. So it's got to be like 1870s, 1860s.
Yeah. I think you're dead on there.
Yeah.
So the monster kidnaps Frankenstein's wife. It takes her to a special spot. So now they're speaking on like these like box phones. That
special spot.
Yeah.
It's an Applebee's off Route 99.
Eat good off the highway.
He's like,
exit.
this is my hangout. They got top shelf margaritas on Tuesdays.
Burger. Good. So they're talking like and briefly over the phone, and so Frankenstein now knows she is alive. So he's like, okay, we'll do it. And so they go through the whole special effects thing again, and it just the whole stage setup with like the big thing coming down from the ceiling and how tall, like how high up it is, like it's just so awesome.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like every like even like when they're in the castle itself and like the interiors, like the they're not arched, but they're like sort of like triangular shaped doorways.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Even that was just like everything looks so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I would have loved to live in that house.
Frankenstein's bedroom earlier in the movie. I remember going, the bedroom's like incredible looking.
He had two doors into it, like, right next
Yeah.
to each other.
And he had like this like weird pane glass window thing on the side that like looked like a globe from like certain angles.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit. I was like, this is awesome.
But yeah, like the lab scene is very good. So the girl they stole is like a 19-year-old girl who just recently died. So they
Very fresh.
Yeah, very fresh.
Where did you get this heart? And he's like, police matter. Oh, Pretorius is like, police. And he's like, police matter, yes.
So they get everything squared away, and they reanimate the bride. Frankenstein is then tranked, but then wakes up and kills the dude. Frankenstein's happy. He's just like, all right, she's alive. She's alive. They take away the bandages and they dress her up. And turns out it's the same actress who played
Mary Shelley.
Mary Shelley.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the
Elsie Lancaster.
Elsie Lancaster. Thank you. I forgot her name. And because I made a point to try to remember that because they bill her as Mary Shelley.
Oh
as
yeah,
her
that's the
name,
question mark.
But then as the bride, it's the question mark. And but it's the same actress. And she's got that like probably second to only Elvira, like the most like copied female or woman Halloween costume with the Bride of Frankenstein hair.
I was trying to think if there was a third. I was like, yeah, I don't see a lot of Marge Simpsons out there.
I meant for horror.
Oh, Leia or Princess Leia.
I meant for horror.
Oh, yes.
Just,
okay.
Like,
yeah. Definitely, yes. Those two.
And like it's such a stark contrast from how the monster looks. Like in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the 90s, they did it completely like the same. Like she's like grotesque and like stitched all over and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, she's like gorgeous. Like she's reanimated. She's got like dark lipstick on. Her hair's just a little frizzy. But like other than that, she looks great.
little bit of trivia for that 90s movie. De Niro was not wearing any makeup at any point during that movie. Ba-doom-tsh.
Very good. Very good.
That's a movie I've seen like once, and I was like, all right, it exists.
Okay. I think they did a pretty good job with it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in like 20 years. Maybe it's better than I remember.
Yeah, it's Brenna and De Niro.
Yeah.
I can't really go wrong with those two. But I digress. So the monster is then introduced to the bride, who immediately rejects him because he's grotesque and terrible looking. And so they try to like have him hold hands. They try to make him be nice, and it's just not happening. And so the monster is just like, she hates me just like everyone else. And I was like, all right, Debbie Downer. So when that happens, the monster walks over to a lever, which is apparently a self-destruct lever for this brick castle. Where you move this lever, the whole thing blows up. I have no idea why this exists.
Yeah,
how they rigged it. Like what the point of it all is. But it's there.
The one downfall to movies this era is that like they always just kind of have like they just rely so much on we're just gonna blow up the castle at the end.
Which is
we won't really explain how.
Which is
It'll
fine.
Just happen.
But like, you know, like in Lord of the Rings, there's a scene where they blow up a wall, and so they like sneak this like bomb in made with gunpowder, and like this like orc with a torch comes running through and like dives on it. And,
that sounds like there's some explanation there as to why something blows up.
Yeah, so it's like they could have like been like the townspeople are pissed that Frankenstein, like they know he's doing it again. They find out and they're like, no way. So the townspeople just like rig it to blow up. But instead they just have this self-destruct lever where the monster just like, he's like, okay, you get out of here, doctor. You can live. You're okay. But Pretorius, you die. You stay here and you die. And they just obey him.
Yeah, his like "We Belong" deadline is really good.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I mean, how many movies end where it's like a lab explosion blows up the whole thing? It's like, and it's usually like you pull a lever or like a fight breaks out and somebody like falls into something. They're like, oh shit, it's all gonna blow up now. God, I can't believe this lab was so sensitive.
I know. Resident Evil 2 ends that way.
Yep, yeah. But getting back to the bride, I wanted to highlight some things I really liked about the portrayal of the bride. Like when she first like comes alive and she does like that kind of quick like little weird like unnatural like kind of like head jerking and like pointing and it's like she's like so like tweaky and twerky, and then they have like you know parts where it's like she kind of like looks up and you see all the stitching going like her neck and around her head. I was like this is fucking really well done.
Yeah.
Also, I liked in the music too when they're trying to bring her to life. Is that like, you know, they kind of playing this like, you know, they're like, as the music is going, they will randomly kind of come in with like strings that I feel like are kind of playing like a little bit of like the phrase is kind of like something that I feel like would more be like reserved to like in other movies to like, you know, debut like the main like woman character who's like the shockingly beautiful woman. Like I feel like it's like a playoff of like those sort of pieces of music, and it's kind of like strung into. That was not meant to be a pun, but it's kind of mixed into like this like other dark music they're playing behind it. Then you get this like random like bursts of like light melody. I feel like that, you know, I meant to like sort of like accompany that, like even though she's like undead, she's gonna be like this like very strikingly impressive looking woman, you know, undead woman.
So like as far as like undead women go, she's great in my opinion. Not so much in the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein from the 90s though. Pretty grotesque.
Yeah.
So
Didn't she get like all of her hair and everything burned off and they're trying to bring her back to life when they remember?
yeah,
Yeah.
she looks pretty banged up.
Yeah.
But this exact opposite, and yeah, I think overall she did a great job. Like iconic character, like all the way.
Yeah.
Like, in dual roles, like it was just a bit part at the beginning, but like being like the feature of the entire movie, like what does she look like, and then the big reveal. I thought that was pretty great.
It's just the same actress in the beginning. I remember the first time I saw this movie, going like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm sure when I was a kid I had no clue, but every time I've seen it since then, I've known. But yeah, the castle blows up and falls apart, and the good doctor lives to create more life another day.
He does. He does.
Maybe this time he does it like the natural way.
What comes next? I think is it Frankenstein meets the Wolfman comes next. I think I haven't seen that one in forever.
I don't remember.
Well, I mean, there's other Universal monster movies in between that, but I think for Frankenstein or the monster, I think it's Frankenstein meets Wolfman. I think it's his next. Yeah, because they find him under the castle, and I think they even say like, oh, like he's like frozen in ice, and I think they even go like, oh, we can't speak anymore because he got frozen in ice.
Oh, is that the one where he had a bunch of lines and they just
cut them all?
Yeah.
I think that is that one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Because that's one where Bela Lugosi finally plays Frankenstein, I think, too.
Yeah, he didn't play him early.
No, did he play him in that one?
He was wasn't he the servant after that?
Yeah, Bella's in as the servant.
Yeah, and then he's in the servant for a couple movies, and then he's like the monster way later, I think, because that's when he's got his arms up, like 'cause he's blind, and
which I think might be Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Okay, but I think that's later when he does that, because that's how everyone imitates Frankenstein with their arms extended out, but like it's not Karloff, like who everyone associates as the monster. It's Lugosi in that one.
Yeah, because like the crossover ones are Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, the Abbott and Costello movies. Then there's House of Dracula and House of Frankenstein. I forget which order they all come out in. And Bella is Frankenstein or the monster in some of them.
Yeah.
And then there's like Frankenstein's son or Son of Frankenstein. I don't know if I've ever actually seen that movie. God, there's like a lot. It gets a little blurry to me after that. Like, yeah, it's just funny how it's like Bella was originally supposed to play Frankenstein and
didn't want to do it.
Nope.
Didn't do it because there weren't any lines for him.
Yeah, because not romantic enough. Not romantic enough.
And he didn't want his face all covered up with the makeup and all that shit too.
Yeah,
and
but I think Karloff just made it so iconic.
Yeah,
Karloff could not be Dracula. Bella, was kind of whatever as Frankenstein. So I think everyone ended up where they're supposed to be.
Yeah, everyone sorts will go see with Dracula and Karloff with Frankenstein monster
or the Mummy.
I was gonna say he was also the Mummy, but I feel like most people would be like Boris Karloff starring role Frankenstein the monster.
Yeah,
right off the top of their heads.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that was Bride of Frankenstein. Just a great way to spend an hour and 18 minutes.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing. This movie's like short.
It's very short. Yeah.
Look at how much we talked about how good the characters are and how much depth there is to the story in an hour, and I think it's actually an hour and 17 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just that's how you
I think on
that's efficient filmmaking right there.
I watched it on the Cock, which is what I call Peacock. FKA Pistic. And I think it was an hour 18.
Yeah.
From start to finish. So I watched it last night. Wrestling wasn't on, so I was just like, okay, I'll save it for this perfect time slot for Thursday to record. And yeah, beginning to end, I was just like, yes, enthralled with the whole thing.
Yep.
Are we ranking it? Are we going there?
Is there going to be any mystery to our rankings on this one?
So 5 is a main eventer. 4 is your upper mid carder. Your US IC champ material. 3, you're getting there. You know, you're a middle of the road guy. 2, lower mid card. Maybe you're just getting your first, start in the business. 1, you're just the drizzled shits. You're a jobber.
You're getting beat up by Ember Moon or Athena on AEW Dark.
I felt bad for that girl. She seemed to take it on the chin and be very
literally, yeah.
Very,
Anyway.
very strong response to that. So I respect her now. But yeah, for me, 5 all the way.
Absolutely, it's a 3. Just kidding. It's a 5. It's a 5.
For me, I think it's probably the second or third best of the whole Universal Monster series. I don't know if I like this more or less than the first Frankenstein. Probably more. I think
really?
I think it's a better overall movie. The first one is just like so great, though, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But this is one of the few instances where the sequel rises to the occasion and is as good as or surpasses the original. So yeah, 5 all the way. It's 2 or 3 for me all the way.
Yeah, I think I kind of bounce between whether this or Dracula is like my number 1 Universal monster movie. I think I kind of like Dracula better because I just like I like Bella's performance as Dracula is like just really so iconic to me.
Yeah.
But I do recognize like in the grander scheme of whatever it means to be like the better movie or whatever. Like, I mean, this movie's just got so much going on to it, so many layers, just so many great characters. It's the better all around movie, but I think like Bella's Dracula performance, I don't know, they're tied. They don't have to be, one doesn't have to be better than the other. They're all S tier. They're S tier.
Sure.
There you go.
And they're your own personal ranking, so like I can't be like, no, you're fucking wrong. Like, how you feel about the movie?
No, we got a podcast and you don't.
I like Dracula more and overall, but like I think this is right up there with it. So, 5.
Yeah.
Man eventer. Great job, James Whale.
Good.
Hey, Slick, did you get any figs?
Yeah, kind of one.
Yeah. You gave me figs, so thank you for that. Right up my recovery that's been going on.
Yeah.
So kayfabe or as a shoot, like I am pretty immobile right now. It sucks.
That's why we were remote last episode. You were truly bedridden last episode.
Sitting down sucks. It's the worst. But you gave me the 5 and below Godzilla versus Kong figures, which is Godzilla, Kong, and Mecha Godzilla. We talked about it last episode.
King Ghidorah was on the packaging though, and no King Ghidorah though in that set.
That's too bad. I would have liked the King Ghidorah. But yeah, we talked about these last episode, so I won't go into too big detail. But these are pretty sweet. Godzilla's all
Godzilla's got some wide shoulders.
He's definitely a full back body in this one. He's all just keyed up, ready for a fight. Kong, you said was probably your least favorite. Is probably my favorite overall.
Oh.
Yeah. Like the Kong. Really good detail for such a small figure. Like the mouth, the teeth are painted right, the tongue's painted right. Probably overall the most movie accurate. But then we also have Mechagodzilla, which fair attempt for such a tiny figure. I'll have to say. Not all the prongs are painted, which would probably have made it the best one if they just painted the tail a little bit. But for a figure of this magnitude,
like a step above idolatry.
Right. For a figure like this, it's totally fine that they didn't. But yeah, these are pretty sweet. If I do a OIWF reunion or revival on my side of the island and have a mid-Atlantic or mid-Pacific division, these will definitely be staples of it.
Yeah, we might have to talk off mic about maybe one of those figures.
Okay. That's totally fine.
One of them might have already signed a deal.
All right, yeah, that's totally cool. Like I can't get downstairs to do this yet. So like you're totally cool to do what you want to do on your side of the island. Like it's gonna be another month or two for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe it's like an NBA deal where it's like a 2-way deal.
The Supermax. But yeah, these are cool. If you see them in store, I would recommend pick them up.
I still like suspect like something with the Godzilla one is like a modified mold of like the Jax minifigures.
I was thinking about that, and the more I look at it, I'm just kind of like, it's too wide. Like the heads look different.
Well, it's like I feel like it's like they took the mold, but like it's like with everything else Playmates has done with other molds. It's like they take the mold from something else and then kind of screw it up somehow, and you get something a little weird about it. And I feel like I'm like, did they just take like kind of like, or they based like this figure off like the Jax figures, and then like, but somehow like stretched them out a little bit too much.
Like maybe I feel like it would be more cost effective to just do their own mold for a figure like this. Like I feel like modifying another mold would just be too, like I don't see the point in that.
I don't know. I don't know. It's all weird. Everything with Playmates is always like a little weird.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's become part of the charm, as some would say, with Playmates. But
you moist bastard. But yeah, that's all I got. I also got some claims processed, so that might be all I got for a little while.
Well, I also got a brand new bathroom in my house, so that was a hoot, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But I actually got my item a couple weeks ago, and I think I just forgot to talk about it, and I totally forget the name of the company that makes these abominations. But it's the same company that made the Hot Topic Godzilla 90s statue, which I said at the time was a decent mold, even though there was some like weird shit going on with the dorsal plates, but the paint job is horrendous. They make the it's the keychains you see out and about that come in the large green bag. I was looking for something else at a store. They didn't have whatever it was I was looking for, and I saw these, and I was like, I gotta leave with one. I gotta leave with something while I'm here. So I just grabbed one, and they're blind bags. And I only have a couple of these. I have the Biolante, which is actually fine. I have the Godzilla 2000, which is a little weird. I have the Mothra Leo, which is good, except like Mothra Leo's wings aren't painted. They're decals just slapped on there.
Okay.
But now I have the Shin Godzilla one. The day I got it, I put it on Twitter, and I just said like, who will know intensifies, the Shin Godzilla suffering song, because I looked at this figure and I was like, this is like the embodiment of suffering. It's just like, it's just like, as you pointed out, the 3 layers of dorsal plates are really one in like a half rows of dorsal plates.
They started like the 2 layers on the side, and then they just gave up in the middle.
The head is like,
it's better than the original Playmates.
I guess,
hell of a bar to clear.
I guess it's like 1/3 of the teeth are painted. Actually, maybe 1/4 of the teeth are painted. The eyes are just kind of like randomly painted on, totally uneven from each other.
Yep.
And it's just like the top of the head is like bright red, and like the bottom half is like not painted. And
he's got like this weird like gummy looking coloring to it.
Yeah, it's these things are horrendous. I think like if I went back to like where I was and I saw like another one of these and I was like, well, I could leave empty-handed or I could leave with one of these. I think I'm gonna leave empty-handed from here on out.
Oh, bare minimum Slick.
Yes, that's me. But yeah. So I had that. I forgot to mention it the other week. Other than that, it was kind of a light week, but I did get notification that my Mezco Godzilla vs. Ghidorah set has shipped.
Oh, excellent!
So that'll be coming, and I also got a notification that the Mezco Mothra set has processed. It's not shipped yet.
Yeah, so
but the shipping usually kind of follows, about a week or 2 after that.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Those I thought were really cool sets. I'm not gonna down the money on them right now.
Yep.
I can always come back like I did with the Destroy All Monsters sets, which I have on my amp right now because I need my desk to Zoom at work.
Yep.
So
I Teams at work. I don't Zoom often. I Teams.
Okay.
So
but yeah, so I thought the Mezco Destroy All Monsters sets I think they're the best figures of the year in my opinion. So I'm eager to see the two that are dropping.
The Mezco Destroy All Monsters sets would be my figures of the year if they didn't come with so many weird paint issues. That's the only thing about them that holds them back for me. However, the Ultraman set that I have didn't have any paint issues.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see what's going to go on with this Hedorah set.
Yeah. So my Angerus was the only one that had a little bit of paint issues, but it's not that bad. Like the head you got and the head I got with the mouth open are just...
Yeah, yours was a lot better.
Yeah.
My Rodan had a lot of weird paint issues in the chest. And then one of my Godzilla heads had like a weird like white like bubble like on the mouth. And I was like, I can't use that.
Right.
The Ghidorah was fine. Baragon was fine. Mothra was fine.
Yeah, it's weird. Round 2 came out a lot better in my opinion.
Yeah, it was yeah, a little weird because I
but in all fairness too, love the boxes.
yeah, well, I posted we retweeted this the other night. It was that Bob Eggleton, who's like always been like one of my favorite Godzilla artists for like decades. The box art for the Hedorah set is like a painting that he did.
Nice.
And like I don't know if you're not familiar with his art, it's like really like he used to do like a lot of covers for like G-Fan magazine and other magazines and comic books and stuff like that. Like he would just do the covers. Like he does like legit paintings.
All right.
Like his work is like incredible looking. Always one of my favorites.
Cool. Not too familiar with them, but I'll have to check it out on the internet once I see images for it.
Yep.
So which one are you looking forward to more, Hedorah or the Mothra set?
I think the Hedorah set because the Mothra set's cool. I just like the idea of having like a really detailed Hedorah and a Godzilla with like one kind of smudged out eye. But also the Mothra set though is going to be like just really unique. It's just like the Hedorah set's going to come with like buildings and stuff. So yeah, I think I'm leaning towards I'm excited for both.
Okay.
Because I like the uniqueness of the Mothra set with the twin fairies and being in the box, so
right.
That's cool. It's just Mothra figures all kind of tend to look the same after a while, I kind of feel like.
I saw a really sweet X Plus once.
Sure, yeah, but that's X Plus.
Yeah.
It's like every time like I get like some Mothra figures, I kind of go like, how many more Mothra figures do I need? They all kind of start to look the same after a while. But getting the Shobijin in the box is actually what's more the draw to me, because like that's cool.
I was seeing if that enticed you more than Hedorah, but apparently not.
I think Hedorah having a flying form Hedorah, a regular Hedorah in buildings is like that's a lot. Okay. That's a lot of stuff I'm excited about right now.
I don't blame you. I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward to seeing it once I'm back up and able to walk around for more than 10 minutes without feeling like an old man.
You mean when you're probably at my house like next weekend?
I'm hoping. I'm hoping I'm okay by then.
Well, if not, I'll just take him here for the next recording session.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But speaking of the next recording session, what do we got on deck?
Oh, well, it's the next episode is gonna kind of line up with Godzilla's birthday, and Godzilla Fest is going on. I inconveniently have taken the days around Godzilla's birthday off from work because I got 4 weeks of vacation time I have to use by the end of the year. So that was a little bit of a surprise, a pleasant surprise, good problem to have. But so we will have a lot of coverage whenever it comes out of Godzilla Fest. We will talk about the 2 Godzilla vs. Gigan shorts. I know there has been some discussion offline if we are going to go see Godzilla X Mechagodzilla in theaters on November 3rd. We'll have that. We'll have Battle Line stuff to talk about because it's going to be a Battle Line Summit at Godzilla Fest. And we'll have new Bandai figures announced at Godzilla Fest.
Yes.
We're gonna have a lot of news to talk about next episode.
Excellent.
Plus, whatever goes on in the OIWF between now and then.
Yeah, big things happened today as this recording.
Sam Hain Slam.
New world champion.
Sam Hain Slam went down. But you can check that out on Twitter. They went from being the not at all sinister World Toy Organization to they're the openly vile World Toy Organization.
Openly vile.
Openly vile.
So yeah, like seeing your stuff doing that, I want to do it again, but I'm also like, I'm not fucking getting up for anything.
Sure. Well, point. I may have shot a couple of weeks of TV.
Yeah.
I'm doing the impact approach.
Yeah.
But I tell you, writing those tweets today, I was like, I felt the juices flowing again.
Yeah. Okay.
I felt something that I hadn't felt in a long time.
A presence I haven't felt since.
And I was like, oh, it's time to go, baby. It's time to go.
Yeah. So I'll get up and going as soon as I'm able, but that'll be next 2 weeks from now. We'll cover G Fest and or Godzilla's birthday and all that good stuff and all the news. But would you like to leave the listeners with any words of wisdom?
Imperial Godzilla, you bastard.
Buy early and often.